All right, we are back, and it is time for Nerding Out. This is where we talk about a TV show, movie, game, music, whatever nerdy thing that we want to talk in depth about. And um, Corey, I'm going to start with you because I have no idea what this is that you're going to be nerding out about.
This is my focus on trying to keep it brief, which for me means it'll only be about 27 minutes. I'm not sure. So instead of saying I had a show that I watched or a book that I read or something this week, I wanted to bring it down to something really simple, which was one moment. So I've been watching this season of You're the Worst, which this is the third season. I've stuck with it since the beginning. The season's been a little rough. It's been a little back and forth on some of the episodes.
Yeah.
And I haven't been 100% sure if I was going to stick with it. But the episode that just came up this week is kind of the culmination of several things. One of them is Edgar's storyline about he's been having to deal with basically post-traumatic stress disorder.
PTSD.
And his drugs that he's been put on by the VA has not been helping him, or they were affecting him in ways that were causing him to have sexual impotency. And he's in a relationship and he really loves his girlfriend. He's trying to make this work. And he felt very frustrated by the fact that his mind's still a blur. He's not getting better. It's doing other things to him. So that storyline's been going along with the other characters, Lindsay and Jimmy, and all of these people are having their own things going on. There's this moment in this scene. This episode was about the last Sunday fun day. They go on an excursion to kind of like find a hidden bar, which is sort of a hipster thing right now. It's like you go and you find the speakeasy. You have to do this whole kind of scavenger hunt to do it. And in the midst of it, the rap group that is part of the show, they give Edgar a pipe. They give him weed. And he's like, I don't know if I really want to do this because of all the problems I'm having and stuff. And they're like, just fucking do it. And so he's walking around and he's smoking this vape pipe as they're doing everything. And they go to Chinatown and there's all these fireworks that are going off behind him. And he's just having a casual conversation with Lindsay. And Lindsay's like, so you're having these problems with PTSD? He's like, yeah. And she's like, and it's affecting you all the time. He's like, yeah, all the time. I just can't, anything just sets me off. And she gets a smile on her face and she's like, turn around. And he turns around and all these fireworks and everything are going off. And he just realizes that the weed is helping him deal with the PTSD. And he hadn't even realized what was happening. And it's this beautiful moment because Lindsay is usually very shallow. She's portrayed as very shallow in the show. She doesn't care about other people. She's like having her relationship with Paul is she's pissed off at him all the time. So she stabbed him and she's bummed out that she has to take care of him. She's bummed out about her marriage to him and everything. And she, at some point in this episode, she asks him, like, she wants to have an open sexual relationship. She wants to sleep with other people. And that's not something that he's into, but he's going to make the exception because it will make her happy, seemingly. But to see her have this moment of clarity about Edgar, you know, to be outside of herself, and to see Edgar have this moment of like, holy shit, I can be okay. And then they go down to the beach and they get a bunch of fireworks and they're just firing them at him. And he's just standing there and kind of taking it all in and just breathing easy and accepting it and going on living. This was this really perfect moment in a show that has been dealing with the struggles of these characters. It's like this one thing that it worked up to, and it was kind of magical the way they did it. They played a song over it that I wound up Shazamming, and it was by the Friends of P band. The Replacements or something. I can't remember the name of the band at this moment, but it was just really powerful. It was beautiful and it just worked. And this was like a happy, perfect moment of TV for me this week. And I just wanted to compliment the show for, you know, doing so much to take me to that moment and giving me a payoff.
Yeah, definitely. I've been enjoying You're the Worst personally, and it's been one of those things where I've been like, all right, where are they gonna go from last week or last season with destroying Gretchen sort of
Right.
deal, and seeing where they're going. I'm like, oh, this is cool.
By the way, name of the band is The Rentals. Maya
I
Rudolph
just,
used to be in it.
I'm so excited because I'm always on the lookout for stuff that people I respect have a recommendation of, and I've heard of this, haven't caught it, but I'm excited now. And you know, in the past, themes from Fox have scared me, but my God, there's been so many shows now that I really enjoy, and I keep finding myself coming back to, like, Baskets is, I think, on Fox now. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's on
And
FX.
yeah, I love it because, like, I wish I had a boyfriend who was a clown. Like, my life would be perfect. But
I mean,
no,
his mom
tough time
was
for clowns
really
right now,
angry.
but yeah.
yeah. Oh well, yeah, you're right. No, actually, I think that makes it darker and more interesting and exciting, right? No, but no, this sounds. I've been reading over this as you've been talking about it, and I can't wait to like kind of test it out. Sounds pretty good.
No, yeah, the basic premise is of the show is this girl and this guy both realize that they're self-absorbed, just assholes. And then by the end of season 1, they're like, oh, well, we're dating now. And season 2 goes darker, and it seems like season 3's going up, but not quite out of this darkness that they went into. And I'm like, I'm in. You've got me sold on this.
I love that. I love anything that takes traditional romantic kind of drama comedy and turns it into something different. So yeah,
it's that they're unrepentant assholes. That we are terrible people, and we can be terrible people together, but it's never an apology of I'm awful. It's more of like, okay, that's you're awful, I'm awful. We're worse together, but we're better than everybody else around us.
Yes. All right, so that is Corey's moment of the week. I feel like that needs to be a segment.
It might be.
Moments with Corey. All right, so Jackie, I want to do yours because mine, I'm still trying to figure out if I'm going to do both or whatnot. But yours is Black Mirror, and so getting caught up for the season 3.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've been getting ready for season 3 for since the moment that I heard Dan Trachtenberg was going to be editing or directing one of the show's episodes playtest. I've been watching Black Mirror since it came out. I watched it as a UK show on Channel 4. I used a VPN. Or maybe I was in the UK. Who knows?
We do it all here.
It's all fine. And so I've loved Black Mirror. I love this modern twist, this that brings in the new world to the Twilight Zone. It's right up my alley. I like feeling a little bit uncomfortable, and that's what each episode of Black Mirror does to you. So much so that I started a podcast on it. So I have a podcast called Black Mirror Reflections. I think we record on Fridays on Diamond Club TV, and I don't know where you can. We're on iTunes and on Stitcher and all that. But regardless, so the new season, a kind of a guy that's in our community or been around our community, that a lot of us kind of revolved around with Dick Nation and Revision 3. Dan Trachtenberg, he's directing the episode Playtest about a game show. And it looks really, really good. And the whole next season, I'm so excited about. There's going to be 6 episodes coming out October 21st on Netflix. And then there's another 6 episodes of this season that will come out in 2017, probably earlier on in 2017. Yeah. So
and they're already working on the season 4 or series 4, as they say over in jolly old England.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I remember when Dan was doing. He apparently Dan Trachtenberg apparently recorded the last episode, and that was in March or May because I tried to book him for Court Killers, because he had just gotten done doing 10 Cloverfield Lane, and he said, guys, I'm sorry, I said I could do the show, but I can't because I'm in London recording directing a new episode of Black Mirror, but don't tell anyone. And I was like, I can't tell anyone. Oh my god! So, but
here's this cute little puppy that I'm going to hand you. Don't actually pet it or love on it.
Yeah, we finally got him on a couple weeks ago, and he gave a lot of insight because I've been reading all of the Black Mirror news because of the podcast that I do. But he gave a lot of really good insight to this season and how it was done, and how it was kind of Charlie Brooker's given over the reins to certain writers and directors, and so it sounds like it. And with the I guess this story in particular, so I'll wrap this up, is about the trailer that came out on Netflix, and it gives you a little glimpse of each episode, and I don't know, I'm very excited. October 21st.
Yeah. I'm going to make an admittance here. I recently got into Black Mirror, and it is mainly because of Dan Trachtenberg.
Really?
Because, I mean, you know, like you said, I got into podcasting because of Attack of the Show. I would watch their Around the Nets and all the video podcasts that
and
they
then
did.
the Totally Rad Show, right?
Yeah, and then I went and found Revision 3, where I got into the Totally Rad Show, Dig Nation, Scam School, all that stuff. And
yeah, Scam School.
Yeah, found Brian, and then it went all downhill from there. I just like started doing everything, mentioning your, watching him through Game On, and then got in with Glenn, and that's where I'm here now. It's all because of this stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys think of Black Mirror? I mean, otherwise, like, are you excited about it? Because I know I am, but
I'm excited, and it's because it's an interesting concept. I love this show because it's very much like you said, the Twilight Zone, but for all about technology. It's not, and even I was like, Dan, like, okay, what does Black Mirror mean? What is the name? And it's like, oh, it's just the screen reflecting back at you. Okay, that makes sense. And I've loved numerous episodes, and it's weird because like I go through and I'm already like, okay, I know which episode I like more than the other one. Like I love the 15 million credits
merits, right?
Or 15 million merits episode. And also from watching a lot of British shows, I pick out people. I'm like, oh, I know that dude. He was in here, and
Downton Abbey people. And some other people. But also,
it was never Downton Abbey.
Oh, okay. There's like 4 Downton Abbey people, but not that I really got into that. But the other thing is they one thing that I noticed, and I know this that my co-hosts of our podcasts, we realized is that a lot of the episodes are actually they're not well you can tell someone, you know what, you can start at any time, you can watch any episode, they're all the stories are different, there's still interconnection, that made complete sense when you watched the last episode that appeared, which is called White Christmas with John Hammond. They used elements or themes such as what will the criminal justice system look like in the future? What does someone go through when you block them from the internet or your world? And so a lot of that kind of combines together. So that I like that, and I hope that with this new season we still see some of those threads coming back. But I will stop now and let you guys, or we can move on. But I could talk about it I have a damn podcast about it. I could talk about it for ages.
Corey, your takes on Black Mirror?
I haven't seen it yet. I know that you were just talking about it recently on the premiere episodes of Galactic Radio, and it's another one of those I ain't got time to TV things, except I really do want to watch it, and I think it's one of those things that I'll wind up putting on if my wife hasn't watched it yet. I think she'll actually get into it with me. I'm just trying to get through Luke Cage right now. I was thinking of going and catching up on Longmire, but maybe I'll move on to Black Mirror first because it seems like it's where it's suited.
I've been trying to do Luke Cage so hard.
I've just with Luke Cage, I've just decided I'm going to take my time on it, and just go week to week or whatever, however I decide to do it.
I've made it through 10
and
episodes this week. I really like it. I think the acting is strong. I think the characters are all great. There's so much I love about it. I think the pacing is not perfect, and it's a hard thing to keep watching because the pacing just moves sometimes at a glacial sort of form. But it's such a weird thing to hone in on because so much of the show is so good. And I love the portrayal of Luke Cage. I love the portrayal of Misty Knight. So I'm almost more excited to see either the next season of this or how these characters are utilized, maybe under a different direction.
I think the next one you would see would be the Defenders.
Yeah,
I
think
there's
going to be, obviously some of them are going to have some crossovers into Iron Fist, but maybe not until towards the end, but certainly when the Defenders happens.
All right, so now it's time for my nerding out, and I don't know. Oh, and Jackie, you do not have to apologize for rants. Corey is one of the check boxes that we have to do per episode is Corey doing a rant.
I'm trying to think in my mind about the time. I don't know what your time limit is. We didn't discuss that, but I'm trying to keep that in check in my mind.
If we manage to finish before Tuesday, we're doing this.
Tuesday Eastern, where I'm at, then we're good. But the my nerding out is the Flash and Arrow premieres, and this is one of those where I feel like I'm in the minority on this because I really enjoyed both premieres. I like with Flash. I liked this version of Flashpoint that they were doing. The where it was very much what they could do with who they had available without making it crazy, or a like doing a whole season called Flashpoint. The I felt like it was a very reliable or very well done first episode for this season, and especially with introducing the rival and bringing in Wally West as Kid Flash, which I love. Even in it's like an alternate where I think the Flash didn't exist or something, and it's like, oh, they're calling him Kid Flash, sort of. Like, I found that pretty funny. But yeah, Corey, where are you at with Flash and Arrow?
I watched both premieres. I've got to say, for me, Flashpoint was a huge letdown, and I can't say that the Flashpoint storyline is something that I was excited about, anyways, because I'm not a fan of the original. But we're seeing so many repeats of things that we've already done. The going back to Barry's parents and being alive, not being alive. I know this is the culmination of like 2 seasons has been dealing with this essentially already. 2 seasons dealing with some sort of version of the Reverse Flash, and then we get another speedster in the rival that I'm supposed to give a shit about for the 40 minutes that this episode takes place. The payoff of, oh, here's Wally as Flash / Kid Flash happens for a second and then goes away. I have a friend who was not looking forward to this season because he thought Flashpoint was going to happen and break the show or break all of the shows. And I'm like, no, I don't think it's going to last that long, but I expected it to last a little bit longer than this. And then again, to see Barry like completely be flabbergasted that the timeline is broken because he trusted this asshole that I'm going to go back and kill your mom now. How many times do we have to see parents get killed in DC shit? Especially the same parents over and over again. Like Barry's parents, and Bruce Wayne's parents, just like fucking let us go, DC. Just pick on someone else's. Like what the fuck? Green Lantern didn't have parents. Fuck you guys.
Don't ever name your baby daughter Martha.
Right. Shit. But just in general, it's like it's so much to the same well that I'm glad that it was just one episode, but then to see the repercussion is we're still gonna have to deal with the stupid timeline shit in the next episode, and how long is this gonna go on? I'd like to see something new. Now, at least we got at the end, we get the promise of Dr. Alchemy, which is not a speedster. So yay. But
Yeah.
overall, it's probably one of my least favorite episodes of the show to date. And yeah, I just expected better. And as Brandon's talking about, the expectations of Luke Cage were very high, and so it's feeling less stellar because our expectations were so high for it. Maybe it's like that with The Flash. The Flash has easily been, to me, the best of the CW/CBS superhero shows. So it's okay if it stumbles once in a while, but when it stumbles, you really feel it.
And JF is asking, has there ever been a DC alternate story where Bruce is the one who gets killed and his parents become a crime fighting duo, and flip that fucking trope on its head? And it is Flashpoint in a way, where in that story, Flash goes, does this weird time travel thing prevent his mom from dying, which then twists everything on its fucking head, and Bruce dies, so Thomas Wayne becomes Batman, and Martha becomes essentially the Joker in that storyline, or in that universe even. And it is an interesting thing, because you do see a lot of the villains and superheroes get flipped as well. Like Wonder Woman and Aquaman are more on the bad / anti-hero side of things a little bit with how things go, because it's just big political fights and all that. But yeah, it's I'd say it's worth reading the Flashpoint comic books by Jeff Johns,
or seeing the animated film version of it, which is
pretty Flashpoint Paradox,
pretty true to the original comic.
Yeah, definitely. So I was the part I was let down with Flashpoint was with how I was building it up in my head, and it's just me building it up. I thought it was going to be something where we would have a reason as to how Wentworth Miller's Captain Cold is back, and how Supergirl is going to be in here, especially when they're talking about a 4-part crossover. So I was thinking, it's going to bring in, much like the Flashpoint comic brought in the Wildstorm universe, it was going to do the same thing with the Supergirl world, and nope, here it's in now. And that didn't happen. They've said that it's not, Supergirl's in her own universe. I'm like, you fucking kidding me? Come on. You don't have to have the crossovers all the time. Like, oh, here's Martian Manhunter over on Flash this week, and next week we're going to have Cisco.
I said beforehand I couldn't really talk a lot about the CW stories, but I have followed Supergirl too a little bit, not as much as I should to even be able to talk about. But I do know about how Flash had made his crossover to Supergirl, but there's no reference back. So it's kind of like, oh, you can come on my show, or you can go on Supergirl's show to make her look good because she needs the help. But like, I don't know, whatever.
Out of last season, that was my favorite show out of all 4 programs. That episode was my favorite because it was just, they had so much fun with each other. They had so much fun being superheroes. It wasn't the high pressure angst, and you got to have angst in superhero shows, of course. In any good show, you have to have conflict. But it was just so enjoyable to get to see these 2 characters meet up and like, holy shit, you can fly. Holy shit, you're way fast. And just like, that's a spaceship. That's my spaceship. That was the greatest moment in all of these all 4 of them last season. I thought it was just magical.
Yeah. And I recently resaw it because over the summer, CW had been airing the first season of Supergirl. And I caught that episode and I'm like, this is really cheery. Like, really, really cheery. And I loved it.
Well, I think,
and all that.
I think honestly, because those 2 actors have very natural smiles. Like, you look at them, they just go to smiling more naturally than they go to scowling. And it looks right on them. And those characters that they're playing are characters that should be smiling a lot. And so they play that up. And when you get the two of them together, it's just like when you get Cisco and Felicity together, they feed off of each other, they work together well, and they bring out the best parts of each other. And so much of what these shows are based around, like especially Arrow, it seems to be the characters bringing out the worst of each other. And that's not what you do with these two characters.
Yeah. Then so we got the Arrow now, and Arrow, I was okay with the premiere. I think it's interesting with how they have, they brought in anarchy for the very first thing here, and the line of, oh, Oliver is running late. Oh, is it a blonde or a redhead? Brunette, actually, and it's anarchy. I'm like, okay, that's a little clever writing there, but it seems like, okay, Oliver just needs to get over the fact that the old crew is not coming back. Like, that's what this whole first episode seemed like, is, all right, Speedy's coming back, right? Now, and John's going to come back, right? And it's just like, okay, maybe not. No, not really. You might just want to get over things here, sort of deal. And I don't know. I did enjoy the episode, but it didn't feel as strong as the other episodes. And I really do think we're getting at a point now with the flashbacks that the flashbacks are going to be previously when I was the Arrow, sort of deal. Like
they've implied that this season will be the last of the flashbacks because it's the 5 years before he comes back, and so this should be the end of it. I don't like how I just basically said I don't like how the characters interact with each other, and it just seems like it's a bunch of broken people just continuously breaking each other down even worse. There was a severe lack of joy on the show for the last 2 seasons, and I don't know that it's getting any better. That Oliver's still kind of semi-pining for Felicity and thinks that's going to happen, and then they show her with some new random fuckface CW guy for the relationship of this season. The only thing complimentary I can say to Arrow right now is, one, I'm looking forward to Mr. Terrific because I don't give a fuck about the rest of it. Mr. Terrific showing up, I'm going to watch for that alone. And two is they've really upped their game when it comes to stunts, where with Flash and Supergirl, it's all about the effects. With Arrow, the last season I started to see it happen, is they're pushing forward on more practical stunts, using the effects a little less. I guess they're saving all that budget for Oliver's wigs, but it just in general, I think that they've done the best that they can do for a show, a weekly show on a channel like this with the budget that they have, to make the stunts look good, and that's something. That's something. And I like all the actors on it. I wish that I could like the writing and the way that they're utilizing characters better. Every time I see the characters on a different show, I like them 20 times more. Like anytime they show up on Flash, it's more fun. Or when Flash shows up on Arrow, it somehow drags Flash down. I don't know why.
No, yeah. But yeah, so that's it for nerding out. Now we will take a break and edit here. I don't know if that actually helps him or not.
I don't know.
And I should mute the channel and mute that. And I didn't get a link for the discussion topic, but I'll wing it anyways.